Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, August 6th, Wednesday on this summer morning PD. Very much appreciate everyone taking time out and joining us. Today, our session, getting started with Google AI in K12 education. We're going to be going over some very exciting things. As we all know, AI is changing by the minute, it seems like. And so we're going to be going over some really exciting tools to help you as an educator, help you in the classroom. Danita from Google will be joining us. She'll be sharing some information as well. So just a little information about ourselves. Danita, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Danita Morgan. I'm your direct point of contact here at Google. I'm based in our New York City offices, started my career as a New York City educator as well. Also worked at New York City public schools, and then from there went to New Visions. So yeah, excited to be here. I'm on our Google for Education team, and very excited to have our premier partner, Project Recess, who leads stellar trainings and literally leads all the trainings for us for Google for New York City public schools. Santi, so I'll pass it over to you.
Danita, thank you so much. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. My name is Santi Karasami. I'm the founder of a company called Project Recess. And we've been supporting New York City schools for, 13 years now, way back when this thing called Google Docs came out. I don't know if anybody's heard of that before, but we've come a long way. We've done a lot of things. Very happy to be continuing this work. So yes, we're an official PD provider. So if anybody would like to partner, bring us to your tools, have any questions, feel free to reach out. And we won this thing called Partner of the Year, small award that Google puts out for all of their partners. And this is highlighting the work that we did with New York City. So very, very honored to be here with everybody. Whoops. Okay, so again, I want this to be as interactive as possible. We're going to share some things, but utilizing the chat, if you have access to it, feel free to put in the chat. Folks that are joining us now, name a work task that takes up way too much of your time. Thank you so much. We have some Dr. Michelle Elliott. Thank you. Lesson planning, curriculum planning, IEPs. Thank you. Data tracking. So let's just see what people put. Unit plans. We ask this question a lot. We see a lot of similar responses. A lot of these things are taking a lot of time. Lesson planning, rubrics. The amazing thing is that these tools, these Google AI tools, can really not only help us save time, but really make these resources better, make our work more efficient. So it's a win for all of us. Thank you so much. Please keep it coming. We love to see what people are sharing on here. Finding patterns, lesson planning, absolutely. Feel free to keep putting them in slide decks. Charity, we got something special for you that we'll share soon. So following up with that question, and again, feel free to keep them coming in there. How familiar are folks with Gemini? Google Gemini as an AI tool. So 1, not very familiar. Maybe you've not heard of it. Maybe this is your first time really diving into it. And 5, star user, right? Google's gonna hire you tomorrow. You're that you're that good with it. So let's see what we have on here. So a lot of people are putting some, 1s, 2s. That's fine. That's great. We have some power users, I see. Yes. Easy entry, as Joseph was saying. High ceiling, absolutely. So this is great. We are getting familiar with this tool, learning more about it. And so let's continue. Again, feel free to put this in there. This is for this session is for everyone, whether you're a power user or just getting started with it. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Lauren, number 5. I like that. So this is a brief overview of what we're going to go over. A very loose agenda, but we're going to explore what the Gemini app looks like, the different components of it. We're going to go over one of my favorite AI tools ever, Notebook LM. Shout out to anybody that may be using that now. We're going to touch on what Google Vids is, but really the main goal of this is to get you familiar with these tools, and really these sessions over the summer, the partner certifications, they're to get you certified, in a different, expertise. And so Google put out a brand new certification program on using these tools. So we're going to share that link with everybody. Everything that we go over will help you go through this self-paced online course for you to get certified in using Google AI tools. As Danita mentioned, there's a parking lot here. If you can't access it, let us know in the chat, but it is pinned in the chat. It's a Google Doc. If you have any questions, put it on there, as well as your email address so we can contact you. and we'll do our best to answer all the questions, because yes, there's a lot of questions learning these new tools. Danita, did you want to briefly talk about an overview of these?
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to do the whole thing, but
yeah, I go quick. Yeah.
We can start with this if you want.
Yeah, let's have some fun. So we like to start our, I was a former teacher, so we want to keep this as interactive as possible. So first question for you all is, how many years did it take for each of these different inventions to reach 50 million users? So if we start with airplanes, how many years did it take for 50 million people to take their first airplane ride? And Ariana, we will email the recording.
Yes.
5 years, 15 years, 3 years, 30 years, says Shashu. 13. All right, Santi, do you want to let us know? 50, 20, 68 years. So Charity, you just came in with the 75. You were closest. 68 years. And I will say that's a high number. That being said, medal in the sky. I am not surprised that people were not trusting that original difference.
And that's from the Wright brothers to, being charged extra to get on Spirit Airlines, like that entire, that time, 68 years. So yeah.
How about the internet? How many years did it take for people to actually do their first, I say Google search, or their first experience with the internet? 44 years, 10, 20, 30, 26. We have quite a few. Thank you also so much for the engagement and the guesses. Yeah. Wow. 30, 10, 5 I saw, 8. What do we have, Santi? Do you want to let us know? 7 years. Elizabeth, you're 1 year over right there. So 7 years for 50 million people. You see a drastic difference happening between airplanes and internet. What's that trend we're seeing? Yeah. Let's think about social media. So Facebook and social media, how many years for, somebody did a Gemini search. Okay. Let's see if you were right. 1.75 years. All right. Santi, do you want to let us know?
Years.
It was 3 years for 50 million people to sign up and use Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. So we're still decreasing. Yeah, we had quite a few of you who actually hit that right on the head.
Yeah.
And then finally, how long did it take for 50 million people to use generative AI for the first time? 2 days, 6 months, less than a year, 2 months, 6 months.
You guys ready for this? You guys ready?
Are we ready? 5 weeks. Ariana, you had 5. We're going to say you were saying 5 weeks there, wink, wink. But 5 weeks for 50 million people to learn about it, to log in, to use it. So you're seeing that we are now at an unprecedented time right now with regard to generative AI and its impacts. And if it's hit it with 50 million people in 5 weeks, odds are our students are familiar with it. A lot of different adults are familiar with it as well. So all of which to say, this is very time, you're definitely at the right place at the right time, especially to make sure that you're up to speed with all things generative AI. So thank you again for taking the time to really come and learn and build your skill set with Project Recess. So thank you.
And so I just want to add just something real quick. So 5 weeks, 50 million users, like that's incredible. And I think a big part of that is these tools apply to any industry. It doesn't matter what you're in. So we're all educators here, but it doesn't matter. Like you could be in business, you could be in, sports management, culinary arts. It doesn't matter. Like these tools can really take what you know and, really make your workflow more efficient, more powerful. So that's why these things moved so quickly, because people saw the value in these AI tools. And hopefully we'll share how these things can, help you in your classroom day to day. So we'll go ahead. Yeah. So we struck a very wonderful contract with New York City Public Schools, which states, and we put Gemini under the same contract that exists for Google Workspace for Education. So your data is not used to train the AI. Your data is not shared. Your data is not used for advertising, of course, and you own your data. So just like what you have, the experience you have with Google Classroom, and the experience you have with Google Sheets, Gemini falls under those exact same buckets. So you don't have to worry about the data that you're submitting. It is IRMA approved. That's another piece. I know that it says processing in the portal, but that I was told by your leadership team that that's just a logistical error. But it is for sure, we are IRMA approved. So you have full protection and coverage as it relates to your use of Gemini. And we're going to be coming to this point. offer, because in my opinion, like this is why, schools really should be using this tool. So like we have conversations with teachers all the time, like what AI tool are you using? Like, of course, like many people are using ChatGPT, other things like that. I'm sure many people here are using that. The thing is, using that system, it hasn't gone through that full process. And so a lot of that data, all of those chats that you have with something that's not approved like Gemini, it's getting saved by those companies. And so anything you put in regards to student information, your own information, is not necessarily safe, right? So at this point, many of these tools work more similarly than they do differently. And so whatever you feel comfortable using in your Outlook, in your DOE Google Drive, you can use that same amount of information, have that same confidence using Gemini. Yes, yeah, you could treat it like Google Sheets, absolutely.
And we also take a very full approach with regard to how we build and how we make sure that we're leveraging and using Gemini. So we were one of the first companies to roll out AI principles. And so if you go to ai.google, you can see all of our principles and have a better understanding there. But really what's worth naming here is that aside from being bold and innovative, which is what you know and love to expect with regard to all Google products, we also want to make sure that we're doing this very responsibly and that we're doing this together. And so we're not only thinking about who does this technology serve, who does this technology support, we also think about who could this technology potentially harm and in what ways can that happen. So you'll learn as you're looking and learning more about Gemini and how we're approaching this in education. We have a fine-grained model, a fine-tuned model called LearnLM. There's a lot that we're doing just to make sure that it directly aligns to educators and the community that we serve here on the Google for Education team. And so in terms of our goal and our North Star, we would like to imagine a world where with the power of Gemini, every educator has a teacher assistant. Every learner also has access to a tutor for them, and every education leader also has access to an assistant. So that's the power of Gemini, and we're very excited to be able to see that come to life with you all today.
So again, utilizing this chat, I know many people here are beginning their journey of using generative AI tools. Some are, well into that journey, but please, we would love to hear, how are you currently using or thinking about using Gen AI in your classroom or even your personal life? So please feel free to put it in the chat. How are you using it now? What ideas might you have in terms of using it? And again, this is in your classroom, even in personal life. Maybe you're using this to help plan a vacation. Maybe you took a picture of, like a piece of, something that you need to fix in your car, and you needed some information about that, and you put into AI. So we're seeing some really interesting things here, generating tests and quizzes. Very nice. Rubrics. So if you're somebody that may not be using AI a lot, take a look at the chat. These are your colleagues within New York City Public Schools. This is how people are using generative AI tools right now. Get some ideas. We're going to be, diving into more of this. So this whole session is going to be revolving around Gemini, which is Google's generative AI chatbot tool. Very similar to something like ChatGPT, all of these other AI chatbots out there. But again, I think the main benefit of using Gemini is that it's safe. It's gone through that IRMA approval process. Your data is safe. But also, we all use Google tools anyway. We're all using Google Docs. We're all using Google Drive. And so this syncs seamlessly with our DOE Google accounts. And we'll show you more what that looks like. So this is big news. We've been, spreading this around. Gemini is available for every staff member in New York City Public Schools. Again, taking a step back, that's crazy. This is the biggest school system in the nation. For Google to go through this process and make sure this is available for all adults right now, all staff members, that's huge. This is all free also. You can go and use it. There are extra features that you could purchase. We'll talk about that later, but for the most part, you have free access to all these tools. All right, so when we talk about Gemini, this is the main thing that we're referring to, the Gemini app. And if you have a laptop, if you want to work alongside during this presentation, feel free. But when we say Gemini, how do you access that? One, you want to make sure that you're signed into your DOE account. Okay, so you make sure that you're only signed into your @schools account, and then you would open up a new tab and you would go to gemini.google.com. All right, gemini.google.com. That's how you get to Gemini. You can also find it in the waffle, that little, 9 dot icon that you see at the top right of many of your Google tools, if you click that, you'll see a shortcut to Gemini as well. But the for sure way to get there, open up a new tab, go to gemini.google.com. And as you can see, looking at the layout of it, it looks very similar to, again, most AI chatbots that are out there. So again, if you've been using something like ChatGPT in the past or something else, all of those, like all of, those skills and how you approach it, all of that can be applied to using Gemini. But again, Gemini is safe for using with your DOE accounts. So this is what it looks like. You have an area for your prompts where you ask it a question, okay? And I just want to give you a very quick tour, and then I'll go through what the app looks like in practice. So when you go to gemini.google.com, if you look at the top left, these are the different sort of AI models that you can choose from. So thank you. What's the difference? So thank you for asking that in the chat. The difference is that with 2.5 Flash, first of all, the responses are going to be quicker. And this is good for just like general tasks. Like if you did want to make a lesson plan, if you did want to ask about a specific question, help you analyze some text, like this is great. It's still a really great AI model. But if you wanted to get into more complex answers, if you wanted to, let's say, do some high level reasoning or like word problems in math, or, like high level like riddles or something in that case, or if you wanted to code something, these things can code. And I know some people are like, what do you mean by that? We'll get into what that looks like. But if you wanted to get into something more complicated in terms of your responses, you can select 2.5 Pro. The responses are going to be a little bit slower because it's processing more information, but it's really up to you to choose between the two. You could send the same prompt using two different chats using the two different models, and you can choose for yourself which one you like best. So it's not unlimited. I don't know, Danita, if you have you want to answer.
We don't know the exact, yeah, we don't know the exact numbers in terms of like how long and when you hit the threshold. It's not based on like number of prompts or anything like that. So it's not an easy defined number. That being said, if you ever did hit a limit, it would just swap you over into 2.5 Flash. It's like you would never have just unable to leverage and use Gemini.google.com.
So thank you. And so you would have more interactions with 2.5 Flash, but again, it's still a great model. So you can test it out. And then I believe those limits reset every day. Is that true? Okay, yeah. So if you're working on your doctoral dissertation and you reach your limit with 2.5 Pro, you wait until midnight and then it resets itself. Okay. So those are the different models that you can choose. And then on the actual prompt search bar, depending on what your layout looks like, yours might say tools, or it might not. It might just say deep research or Canvas. But these are the different elements you can choose within Gemini. And we'll demonstrate what that means by choosing Canvas or deep research, or now you can even create AI generated images. So again, all the things that we've been familiar with in terms of like, what we know that what these AI systems can do with other platforms, you can do all of that within Gemini. All right. So a glimpse of what Gemini can do. So I'm just going to jump into a live demo. So I'm sharing my screen where I'm signed into my @schools training account. Okay, so whatever you see on my screen, you should have access to. And as you can see here, it says 2.5 Pro. You can choose between the two. And on my screen, it says tools, right? I can click tools, and then I have different options on what I can create. And if you select 2.5 Flash, you'll see that you have all of the options over here. And then on the top left, the 3 horizontal lines, lovingly referred to as the hamburger, depending on who you speak with, you click on that and it opens up the side panel. And these are all the different previous chats that I've had. So previous chats that I've pinned on here, and you can search for your previous chats also. And I'll get back into a little more about what that looks like, but just know that there's a little search bar up here. You can search your previous chats. Here you can create new chats over here, and then your previous ones are at the side. And if you click these little 3 dots next to an existing chat, you have an option of pinning it or renaming it. At this point, you can delete chats. That may change, depending on, what the people at Central decide. But right now, you can't delete any of these chats. They just exist here on the side, but you can rename or pin them. Okay. So again, yeah, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to put it in the parking lot, feel free to put it in the chat. So when you're interacting with a chatbot, that's what's called prompt engineering, right? So it's all about asking what you want this thing to do. And you really want to think about a chatbot as like an assistant, as a thought partner, okay? We don't really want this to do our work for us, but help us with the ideas that we already have. And not necessarily starting from scratch if you're creating something. So let's say, as an example, let's say I was teaching, let's say 4th grade, and I was going over life cycle of the butterfly. So you can ask it, generate a lesson plan exploring life cycle of the butterfly. This will be for 4th grade. Okay, so you can give it more context. Rule of thumb is you want to give it as much context as possible, but you can start with this. And so if you type that in, you hit submit, at this point, I think we're all familiar with this. It's going to work through its thinking. It's going to create the lesson plan. And what I love about this is that it automatically gave me my response in using Canvas. And what Canvas is, instead of in your traditional Gemini chat, it's just back and forth with like one screen. It's my speech bubble and then the AI's response and back and forth. With Canvas, it looked at my prompt and it said, you know, your response might be better formatted through Canvas. And what Canvas is, it splits up the screen into 2 windows. One window, you have the artifact essentially. So here you have the lesson plan, and then I can keep chatting with Gemini on the left-hand side. And so if I go through this, I'll see that I have the lesson plan. It's 4th grade, 60 to 75 minutes. I can go through this. But the thing is, most of the time, the response, it's not going to be perfect. And that goes for any AI response. As the educator, you want to make sure that you're going through this lesson, make sure that it makes sense, and make sure that it is appropriate for your class, and make sure that it's appropriate for what you want to do. So in this case, the time says it's 60 to 75 minutes. Maybe I don't want to spend that much time with it. So then you would go back and forth and interact with the chatbot, interact with Gemini, right? So you can say time allotment, 60 to 75 minutes. You can add, you know, actually update this to make it, let's say 40 minutes, and take into account my L students who speak Spanish. All right, I'm curious to see what happens. So again, you want to go back and forth. It's going to do its processing, and it's going to, so right now it changed it to 40 minutes. It's going to update the procedure and all the different timeline of it down here. What I love about using Canvas is that everything in blue, it's highlighted to tell you that that's what's been updated. So that was like 10 seconds, and it gave me an update of what this lesson plan could be. All right, so it's asking me materials. It's saying there's some questions in here in Spanish, and you can update this to be anything. Maybe you have students with disabilities and you need some ideas on how you can incorporate this with students that may have, you know, learning or physical disabilities. And so you can use this to help. You can use this to help you get some ideas on how to implement your lesson. Okay, so all of this is on here, and taking it a step further. So again, at this point, I think we're all familiar that these things can do things like make lesson plans. Again, since this is IRMA approved, you could take a page from your actual curriculum, from your HMH, from your, you know, whatever your curriculum is. You can upload that here on the side. There's a plus button. You can upload files from your computer, or add things from your DOE Google Drive, and you can interact with Gemini to help you modify that existing curriculum to make it fit your class to even a more personalized level. So that's something you can do also. What we were mentioning earlier about these things can code, these things can build, you know, interactive resources. I'm going to show you what that is. So that's, oh yeah, Danita.
I was just going to add, Tanika asked a quick question. In Canvas, something else you can do that's different from if you were just doing a prompt and getting a response is you can edit directly in that canvas. So he can go into the response and make edits there directly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and in addition to that, so yes, you can edit within Canvas. So let's say you're working on this lesson plan, you can edit directly on there, and then you can say, Gemini, I just added X, Y, and Z. Can you update this to include this? Add these standards, translate it to this language. It's very collaborative. Again, at this point, who's not using Google Docs? We're all using, Google Workspace tools, and Gemini is part of that. You can even change the tone. And so check this out. So looking up here at the top left or top right, you have a few buttons here. So you can change the heading, you can make things bold. We've seen these tools in your word processing programs like Google Docs. There's a share and export button. If I click on that, you can export this directly to Google Docs. So this could be a lesson plan. This could be a letter to parents. This could be whatever you want it to be. You can export that to Google Docs, right? If I click on that, it's going to open up a new tab. It opened up a new tab. It took all of that content, and then here I am in my Google Doc. Maybe I want to share this with my teacher team, with some colleagues, whomever, continue to refine that. Maybe you want to put this in Google Classroom. It's all there. All right, so let me switch back to Gemini. So again, this share icon, it looks kind of like a triangle. You can export that to Docs. Taking it a step further, there's a create button, and you can create these things. You can create a web page, an infographic, a quiz. What does that look like? I'm going to click on infographic. I'm going to let it do its thing. All right. So these things take a little bit of time. It's not a lot of time, a few minutes, but it will take all of that information within the lesson plan and it'll create something for you, as in a website, a lesson plan, or a quiz, which is, again, it's pretty wild when you think about what these things can do right now. So this thing is coding for us right now. So when I mentioned that these AI tools, in addition to outputting text, these things are also computer programmers. So right now it's coding this this infographic for us. So I don't know if anybody here has a background in computer science, but even now the concept and the approach of computer science in education is different now. 2 minutes later, it created this infographic for us. Was there a question? Did somebody raise their hand? If you have a question, feel free to unmute. So look, it created this in what, 2 minutes? Butterfly's Great Challenge, 4 stages of life cycle. Oh, and it has a Spanish translation because I asked it to. And this could be any language. Question? Okay. So egg, larva, pupa, adult. Okay. You have that on here. This is a lesson breakdown. That's pretty cool. I've not seen that before. Key vocabulary words here, also in Spanish. So again, you could take this, you could take a screenshot, you can export it out to Google Docs, and then you can share that. So yeah, right now this is code. Yeah, so somebody asked about code and Google Sites. Let me demonstrate something else. So that was all within, so again, this is in Gemini. This is in gemini.google.com in your DOE account. We just asked Gemini to create a lesson plan. We modified it by updating the time, updating the language. We went to, we had it create this infographic. And I want people to be aware of this, how this is structured. So this is Canvas, right? You have your artifact on the right, the chat on the left. The chat, you can scroll through and see what you've been talking about, okay? And all of the links to your artifacts are in here. What do I mean by that? So this link right here, this is the infographic. But if you wanted to see that lesson plan again, you just scroll up and then here's your lesson plan. So if I click on that and hit open, it brings me back here and I can go back and I can look over that lesson plan. I have that create option one more time and I can test, what those are. I've not done this yet, describe your own app. So you can test that out, but I wanted to try something. So I'm going to leave up that lesson plan. I'm going to go back to my chat window on the left, and I'm going to say, generate an interactive flashcard game using the vocabulary in this lesson. Okay, so let's see what happens. I just asked it to do that. I sent it. It's thinking about the prompt. Okay, so maybe I want this interactive flashcard game. So again, it's gonna code for you. It's gonna go and do this code. As it's doing this code, somebody in the chat does a quiz. Can you create a quiz in Google Forms? You can't, at this point, you can't create an actual quiz through Google Forms using Gemini. I would ask it to make a quiz. It would give you the questions and the answers, and then you can export that to Google Sheets or Docs, and then you would just copy and paste it into Google Forms. At this point, that could change. So going back to Gemini, again, I asked it to make an interactive flashcard. It built this in 45 seconds, metamorphosis, or yeah, flip the card, and it, that's interesting, and it gives you the Spanish translation. That's pretty cool. So I wasn't expecting this, but then again, I wasn't that specific in my prompt. Okay, so it gave me what I thought the best response would be. Maybe I want a different vocabulary. Maybe I want to go and say, update this game so that the definition of the word is on the other side of the card. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send that. It's going to say, oh, okay, you know, that's what you want, fine. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to update the version. Here's an updated version where the back now shows a definite. First of all, like, if we take a step back and think about what we're doing, it's like we have this genius assistant at our beck and call 24/7, and I'm saying, yeah, build me an app. Oh, actually update it to do this, and it's doing it for you. Okay, egg, flip the card. Here it is. Okay, next card, adult, final stage of the butterfly. And so I'm going to show you one more thing. Somebody asked in the chat, how do we share this with students? At this point, there's not a way to share this artifact out. So a workaround is that, so right now we're in preview. If you go to code, you see all of the code that is, you know, being used to make this game. If I click share, I can copy the contents. So I'm copying the code. And so again, a workaround would be, I went to sites.google.com. Everybody here has access to Google Sites. I can make a new site. Actually, I made a site before that I shared. Let me just do that. So you can make a Google site. I made this website for a different PD. So we just have a new page. All this to say, you would make a Google site. If you double click in a blank area, you have options to add text, image, but you can also embed code. All right, if I click on embed code, I'm just going to paste the actual code that I had from Gemini. And there it is. So there's this interactive game that you could share with your students through Google Classroom or what have you. And it's live. Okay. You would publish it. Butterfly code. You want to make sure all the settings is appropriate. Publish site. Okay, done. I don't want this to be saved online. So you publish it. Let me go back. Let's see, view publish site. And there it is. I'll put it in the chat if you want to test this out.
So you're saying that you're able to create a website using Gemini? Like you can put in information to begin to develop a website for you?
Yeah, you could. And I personally have not had much experience like building a website from scratch, but you can. But the thing is, when you build a website using Gemini or any AI tool, like it'll create like the HTML code, but then you would have to know what to do with that code. You would need to have, you know what folders to put it in, have a service online to host those files. But like the short answer is yes. And many people are using AI to build not only websites, but like straight up apps now. Like most of these companies out here are using AI to help them build their code, Google included, all of these different companies. And so again, it's this greater conversation of, how is AI augmenting the workforce, what we need to know, how we take in information, how we process information. It's all changing right now, and it's exciting time, and good for everybody for being on this session right now, because like, yeah, we're exploring like what are the possibilities. But short answer, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
One more question about that. You can share the link with the students, and then every individual student has their own one, or is everybody on the same one?
And what are you talking about, this website that is shared?
So if I want my students to take this quiz, right? I want to share it with them. So if I share the link, they each have access to individually doing the quiz on their own computers?
Yeah, so this quiz that I made, yes. So this quiz I made, like if you share this with your students through Google Classroom or sites or what have you, yeah, they would
Yeah.
get their own version of this. So like if
Okay.
you had 30 kids in your class, like they would see their own questions, but this is not, it's not recording their answers because I didn't ask it to do that. I mean, that would be interesting if you coded your
Okay,
own.
so you could ask it to record, you would verbally ask it to record, and then also to grade. You can do that as well so that you get then the data from it.
So I don't know if that would, it might be
You would need-
possible. Go ahead.
You would need to have a backend for where that is housed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So right now, this is a front interface, so students are able to engage. You would need a backend where that is housed. So I've had some teachers who've been really creative, but I don't know what you all have access to. But there's something you can leverage, like AppSheet, to actually have the output be now exported to a Google Sheet. So there may be a way that you can build that out directly here as well. I'm not as familiar because I haven't built it myself, but I know that there are ways to do it. But you would need a place. You have to think of it like this is an interface. This is a great practice. for
Right, so
students
you have to go onto like a Google Sheet document.
and find,
You
and it would,
connect it to
it would have to be connected. But there's tools that would make it so that you would be able to connect that. I just don't know if you
Okay.
have access to that.
Because I think, yeah, because just having that is wonderful, but more so to see like where the kids are at. And if you have 32 kids in a class and you want like in a minute to get a pulse on what's going on, right? So that's what I'm trying to figure out, how to use that.
Yeah, and at this point in time, and I can find out and we can add that in our resources in the parking lot in terms of what that exact workflow would look like to build that out. What I will say is what I've seen teachers doing at this point in time is if they have a published website, they let students go and just use it as a practice quiz, like to practice for themselves. And then when you create that formal quiz, maybe you have your questions here, but then you take those questions and you actually embed it either into a Google form or whatever pathway you would usually use to submit and collect information from students. So yeah, that's how I've seen that happen up to this point.
Yeah. So again, like this is more.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Yes.
thank you for that question. I mean, the fact that this possibility exists, yeah, it's going to bring out a lot of questions, and it's really up to us as educators to experiment with this and see what are the best ways to implement this, like mindfully in the classroom. Yeah, this is really great for like hyper specific interactives that you can make. And again, that's remarkable. If you take a step back and think about that, if you're somebody that's teaching science, social studies, what have you, you can create an interactive that is like hyper specific with your lesson that day that you can share with your students. Yeah, and these things can build app scripts also, if you want to like delve into that. So this is all Gemini. This is only a 1 hour session. We're not going to cover everything. It's already 10:40. I want to show you a few more things. Okay, so again, Gemini, if I go here on the side, these are all of my previous chats. I'm going to create a new chat. And again, if I'm in 2.5 Flash, I have these different things here. You can create images with AI. I think we've all seen that. I can make an image of a snow-capped forest. I'm going to save that for now. I love this thing right here, deep research. So if anybody has like a problem of practice or wants to research something, for example, maybe you want to research what are the best ways to implement, you know, the cell phone ban policy at your specific school, or maybe you have an AI committee and you want to research an AI policy that would best fit your school, that's taking into account what other schools in New York, in across the nation or globally, what they're doing. You can do that also. So with deep research, you ask it a research question. So if I were to say, I work at a middle school in Brooklyn and we are creating an AI policy for our students, period. I want you to research existing AI policies in New York as well as globally and help us understand the best ways to implement our system. Okay, so you can ask a question like that. If I hit send, and it could be anything. We did a PD on this, you know, last week, and we're asking about research about like different movies. Hey, Charles, glad to see you.
I have one more, I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Please, yeah.
Since, you know, education is very collaborative, can you add collaborators to these search docs?
So
I was just going to say, you will have the ability to share your prompts and to share gems, which you'll learn about later. And then also what Santi's showing you right now, when you create that research report or whatever it is that you're creating, you have the ability to share and export into Google Docs. So yes, and there's multiple ways to share. We're all about collaboration here at Google, another way that we set ourselves apart. So export and sharing into Google Docs is one way, then it becomes collaborative for everyone. You'll be able to share your actual prompt if you're really proud of a prompt that you've done, and you'll also be able to share gems in the future as well.
Thank you, Danita. So this is an example. So the thing about deep research is that it's going to take about like 5 to 10 minutes to do, because when you send that question over, actually, let me go back one more time. So when you submit this research question, it's going to come back and say, hey, this is the research plan that, that I'm going to do. It's going to research existing AI policies, investigate AI policies or frameworks, explore global examples. It's going to do all these things. And then it's going to create a report for you. All right. So you would just hit start and it would do it. So I have something similar that I already made. Here it is. So this one was similar. I asked it to, create an actual AI policy for students. Same thing. Research what policies exist, New York, nationwide, globally, what's been working, etc. So after about 5 minutes, it created this incredibly detailed report on the current stage of AI in New York City public schools. And in addition to all these things, there's citations on there on where it got this information. So it has links on here on how it created this paragraph. All right. So you go through all this. Again, this is a very detailed report talking about the evolving AI landscape in New York City, statewide, nationwide, with citations. And so it's up to you to, question? Yeah, so it's up to you to go through all this. And then I just want to scroll to the bottom. Again, very detailed report. Would have taken me weeks to do this. Actually, I think it's down here. Here it is. A lot of information. So right here. These are all the different sources that were used in this report. All of these different websites, New York State, Chalkbeat, EdWeek. There's like 200 websites here, Reddit posts on education. So Edutopia, if you take a step back and think about how long would it take for you to visit 100 websites and comb through all this info, this would take weeks, take a long time. This was done in about 5 minutes. And I'm going to take, okay. And so as Danita was saying, how can we use this and collaborate with our colleagues, share, you could share that prompt, or you could export this out as a Google Doc, right? So let's do that right now. Or there's also the create button. You can create an infographic, quiz, webpage. If I export this as a Google Doc, we all know what happens. It's going to make a doc, and then you can share this with your colleagues. You can comb through it. But there's actually one more thing, or another thing you can do to be collaborative and then get even more insights from this. And that's using something called Notebook LM, which is incredible. I know we didn't talk about gems yet. I'm going to get back to gems, but since we're doing this process. So let's say you created this deep research report. I have my, what is this, 48-page report on the current AI landscape in New York and beyond. And I want to use this for my own school. So there's another amazing tool from Google, leveraging AI, and it's called Notebook LM. All right, the URL is notebooklm.google.com. Again, IRMA approved. Every staff member, every teacher, every school leader has access to this. And what this is that you can create a notebook and upload specific resources into it, and then use the power of AI to only get insights from those resources. And so what I've done is I think I have an example of this here. I want to show a specific example. Oh yeah, okay, this is good. So I took this AI report and I uploaded it into Notebook LM. And what it did is, like, now in this chat in the middle, whatever I ask it, it's only going to pull from the resources I uploaded. It's only going to pull from that Google Doc, or, maybe you want to get crazy and you want to upload Chancellor's regs on there. And now every question you ask is only going to pull from those specific chancellor's regulations or your school newsletter or your school handbook. You can upload your school handbook on there. And now all of your interaction with AI. So if you say, what are the, top 3 ideas from this? It's only going to pull from the associated resources in Notebook LM. Okay. And so I know it's the text is a little small, but
I have a quick question. This is fantastic. And what I thought about implementing this was adding this actually to our school website, embed it. Now I'm just thinking, can I take this and embed it in our school website so that if parents so that basically they can chat with their own, basically have the same interaction, but only with the resources directly from our school.
Danita, you have a question or a response?
Sorry, can you have it publicly facing on the web? Is that what I'm hearing?
And like have people chat with it, right?
I was thinking like taking this and the code behind it and embed it in a website so that people interact with just this chat. Like if I have the school's SOPs or student books or whatever, you ask the question you want to know and then we'll read it from there.
Absolutely. So that's a great use case. That's one of the things that we've heard as a top, request with regard to Notebook LM. So in order to share just the chat experience, so I don't know, Santi, if you want to click that share button. If you want to share, I don't know if
I love that. Yes, that would be perfect. That's exactly what I want.
But at this point in time, here's what I'll share. You can only share it with individual people in groups right now. You will be able to, and this does require a license. So here's one of the other differentiators from free and paid. Free, you can share it as is, where you'll see the sources on the left-hand side. You'll see the studio on the right-hand side. If you had a license, you'd be able to share just the chat. And now the interface is only going to be chat, like front facing, but that does require a license. And just fun fact, you can purchase your license on FAMIS and ShopDoe if that's
okay. Beautiful. That's perfect. You explained it very well. Thank you.
And also, I heard something earlier. I'm just going to name it here. If you wanted to create a quiz that then gets exported into Google Forms, you can do that through Google Classroom. Gemini directly embedded into Google Classroom. So go to generate a quiz there and you'll see you can export it directly to a Google form. Just want to say that for you.
I'll demonstrate what that looks like. I'm gonna Classroom. So I know we only have 10 minutes left. I'm gonna go over Gemini and Classroom and then Gems, because I think those are important. But real quickly, again, Notebook LM, this is one of my favorite AI tools out there, period, because it does such a great job doing a deep dive into specific resources. So you could share with colleagues within the DOE. If you add their name on there, they could be editors, they could be viewers only. So I know somebody mentioned in the chat, what if you want to collaborate with somebody? So you could upload your report, whatever resource you want, into Notebook LM, and then you and your team can go ahead and go through those resources. Taking it, not even a step further, taking it, man, so much further than that, is that if you look on the right side under Studio, I don't know if people have seen AI generated podcasts, but this is how you do that. So an audio overview, if you click on that, it'll create an audio overview of this content. Now, I think I may have it in a different language. Let me test it out. Let me see. So if I test it out here.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and give you those essential insights you need to be, well, truly well-informed. Today, we're diving into something that's really moved from sci-fi straight into our classrooms. Artificial intelligence and
So that was not a real person. That's AI generated, talking about giving a summary, an audio summary of this information right over here. Trying to play it again. So there's 2 hosts. Yeah, I mean, it could be a little creepy. Also, it's a good way to take this information in while you're on the train, while you're driving. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I think it's loading, but you have your audio overview. So again, a podcast of this. And what's nice about this, if you go to settings, you can change the output language. So you have all of these different languages that you can choose from, and it'll create an audio podcast of whatever resource you put in there in a different language.
I was just going to add, I think about my students where they didn't really take in information. Think about different modalities.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Some students take in information better by listening. And so I can have my primary resources. I can have 2 differing perspectives uploaded into Notebook LM, create an audio overview, now share that out. Now they can hear a conversation happening between 2 people about the content that you're sharing that students can click. So you can export that audio overview, add it to a Google slide, add it to your Google Classroom, and students have another modality, another way to take in information. You also have the ability to have it exported, as Santi mentioned, in different languages. So if you have students where English is not their first language, you can do that as well. So audio overview is definitely a powerful resource that we're seeing across the board, that people are leveraging and being able to use, grounded solely in your resources and whatever content you wanted to point to. You can point to YouTube videos, any type of articles, websites, however you want it to take place, you can leverage that here. And then you'll see to the right-hand side, you won't have time to go through this, but there's also video overviews. So teachers have uploaded content like notes documents, then they'll upload pictures from their class field trip, create a video overview, and now a video.
AI isn't some sci-fi concept anymore. Nope. It's here and it's flooding into our schools at an incredible speed.
So yeah, this is what Danita was saying. This video overview was created.
Their journey with AI has been a total roller coaster. Okay, so check this out. In late 2022,
Okay, so
Is this free or do we need a license for that?
This is all free.
okay. But there are limitations to how many you can make, right,
In
Danita?
a day. Oh yeah, so it's free, but you can make only 3 in a day. Whereas if you have a license, that's expanded. So that's how we approach that as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
So these video overviews, I think this was dropped like 3 days ago. Like I just saw this in our DOE account, like 3 days. So again, this is all changing by the day. So everyone was excited about audio overviews. Nobody asked for video overviews, but now they're here. And like, this is still, it's incredible. So again, imagine taking your lesson plan, putting it on here. You have your audio overview in multiple languages. You can send that to kids that may be absent. You can add that to your Google Classroom. And then now you can create a video overview that you can use to supplement what you already have. It's insane. 6 minutes left. Notebook LM, the link's in the chat. Please try it. I'm going to switch back to Gemini. And then I do want to show one last thing, classroom. Okay, so here I am in Gemini. I made a new chat. If you go on the left-hand side, there's something called gems, explore gems. What gems is, think about it as a personalized chatbot that has pre-trained prompts in there, or like preloaded prompts in there. So for example, here are some example gems that I have, a field trip planner. Okay, so yes, I could go to Gemini without a gem and just ask it back and forth, what's a good field trip to go on, you know, with X, Y, and Z, or I can build a gem. And now if I just say 6th grade social studies, and I hit enter, because I already added prompts in there, it already knows what to tell me. It's giving me information about suggesting the Tenement Museum. Here's a location. Here's a website. Estimated cost. This Francis Tavern Museum, New York Historical Society. So again, how did it do this? How did it know to give me this response in this way? So if I go to Explore Gems and I go back to my field trip planner and I hit View, so this is a look under the hood, right? So this is how you make a gem. You give it instructions. And so in this, I said, you're an interactive field trip planning assistant. Your aim is to greet the user, ask for the grade level, subject area, etc. The interaction should be friendly, but then you should give me the field trip name, location, brief description, website, estimated cost. You can make this sound however you want. And so now, because of those instructions, those pre-added instructions with your gem, you just add a few pieces of information and it's already going through those instructions. So yeah, you can use it, as Anita said, you can have gems make rubrics, help you with lesson plans, help you, find student claims. We were working on that the other day. So, so it all just comes back to, how about we do this? Like, as I set up for the next thing that I'm going to show you, maybe share in the chat, what would you want a gem to do? knowing that you can use instructions, pre-made instructions to have Gem automate a task for you, feel free to put in the chat, what's an idea? What would you want a Gem to do? What would you want it to help you with?
And as we're doing that, Dina, she had a request. So if we go right here, Dina, if you see where he's at, explore gems, and then you see that plus sign in the right-hand corner, create new gem. Dina, you would click there. In that knowledge at the bottom, Santi, where it says plus, Dina, that's where you would add your rubric that you want the gem to actually assess whatever you submit on. And then once you add your rubric in there, you can simply give it voice written instructions. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You can just say, you are my, what do we call it? I don't know. Like you're my assistant, my teacher's assistant, or my grading assistant, feedback assistant, whatever name you want to give it, and say, analyze the whatever I submit to you against my rubric and give me feedback on ways that I can help the student improve. So you can do something as simple as that. And then if he clicks that bottom right hand, if he wanted to, he can click there. That'll elaborate it for you. So if you don't want to think through and give it more details, clicking that button will give it more information, but you want to make sure you give it enough information to pull off of. So as a teacher, whatever the case may be, and then click that, it'll do that. And then you actually can go live, submit, like you can put in a fake dummy, essay from a student, however you want to go about doing that. And then it'll actually give you feedback for student writing. I have an example of one that's completed as well. So yeah, it's as simple as that. What we encourage you to do, and we hope that this session inspires you to play. You can't break anything. This is your time. Go in there, play with it, test out the gem, just like Santi was doing, where he was vibe coding back and forth with Canvas. Make it your own and make it do what you want it to do. It will respond. Yes,
so definitely test out gems. We're working on a repository for gems that people can copy and paste. Yeah, test it out. Last thing I want to show. Classroom. We all are familiar with Google Classroom at this point. If you go to Google Classroom, you now have a tab that says Gemini. When you click on that, you have all of these amazing integrations built into Classroom. Create text dependent question, re-leveling text, brainstorming project ideas, create an audio lesson, that's a pilot, creating a rubric lesson plan. Check this out. This is pretty amazing. Generate a presentation. If I click on this, target grade, 4th, topic, life cycle of the butterfly, presentation length, medium, generate learning objectives. These are the learning objectives. Maybe I like them, maybe I want to edit them. For this purpose, I'll say that's fine. As I go through this process, it's going to generate an outline of what the presentation could look like with images that I could select if I wanted to. This is the outline here. All of this will be different slides. Maybe I want to modify it. Maybe I don't want something. Generate presentation. Give it a few seconds. It's going to generate this presentation. That whole process took what? 30 seconds. So here's my presentation now that I can go ahead, modify, share this on class. There's videos built in there on YouTube. Again, double check, make sure they're appropriate for your lesson. Maybe you want to include your own video. You have different things on here. Okay. It's taking stock images. It's using a mixture of AI generated images. But this presentation was created automatically.
How do you edit? Like if I want to put in, let's say, a different video or a different image, how do I just delete it and just upload?
Yeah, just like you would a regular. Yeah, let's say I didn't want this, I would delete it.
Like a regular presentation.
Yeah, you can edit any of this.
If I want to delete that slide, I just upload. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And also, are there follow-up PDs for this? Additional ones?
That will be happening throughout the year. So this same PD is happening again next week and the week after, but there will be more PDs happening this year because there's so many sessions coming out. So keep an eye out on your email. Yeah, Danita, go ahead.
And the certifications is being asked. So there's a certification that collaborates and coincides with this session that you just attended. So if you go to the parking lot, that's where you'll see the certification. under the resources where you can actually take the training and the certification itself. Also, we have Gemini office hours every Friday at 12 o'clock, a lunch and learn. Also, Santi is going to continue to offer a bunch of different sessions based on what it is that you all are looking for. So I don't know, Santi, if we have a feedback form here, but we would love to be able to get feedback from you in terms of what else you'd like to see. Like, is there a get going that you'd like, we got get started, now get going, or I just want one session only on gems, whatever it is you want, we want that feedback so that we can then turnkey that. As you can see from our experience with regard to what has rolled out and how Google's approaching AI in education, we are very much responding to your feedback in real time. So a lot of things you brought up are things that were actually implemented as well. There will be vouchers, Dina, for for the certification for
free. This one's free. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's free. And then if you wanted to do level 1, level 2, like the older certifications, you can go through Project Recess, and we can provide a voucher through Project Recess there as well. 12 to 1 women. And I'll add it to your, if you complete that form for registration for office hours, I'll add it to your, essentially, it'll just let me add it to your calendar, and then you can pop in whenever you want. Who is Project Recess? So Santi is the CEO of Project Recess. They are our premier PD provider for all things New York City public schools, and all things Google, as well as other topics too. Honestly, he's well versed in everything, but we're so thankful and honored that he's really centered around this AI mission and initiative.
Yeah, so Project Recess, that's the name of our company, and we've been leading PDs in New York on EdTech for the past, over a decade. Doing our best to reach all 75,000 teachers. Give us some time, we'll get there. But yeah, send me an email if you can get CTLE hours. I'll put that link in the chat right now if you'll be with us. But yes, if you're interested in partnering with us, feel free to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat.
And can you add the QR code on the screen for them to be able to provide feedback?
Yes,
as well?
So the feedback, it should be, the feedback form is pinned in the chat.
Okay.
But I'll put the QR code up again. But if you go to the chat, it should be in there. Here we go. Here's a feedback form, and then I'm about to put the CTLE form in the chat also. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat. So if you're interested in CTLE, a CTLE hour, I'm gonna put that in the chat right now. So there it is. Let me know if you have issues accessing it. I'm gonna pin this in the chat as well. Okay, so there's a bunch of things pinned in the chat. Please fill out the feedback. If you need a CTLE hour, that link's in there. Everyone, thank you for joining us. It's an honor to have everybody here on a summer morning. Question? Somebody have a question? Dr. Poole, thank you for joining us. There's a lot going on. Go ahead.
How do we join your office hours?
Here's the link. I'm going to add this in right now. I could just add you all to the office hours link, but I don't want to do that because not everybody wants this to show up on their, calendar invite. So in lieu of that, we have this form. So if you click that form, you can just record your name and email address. And by doing that, I can add you to the office hours. There are multiple places to stay up to date with future PD offerings. And Santi, I've added a link that has the ones that we know of that are coming up for Santi directly. However, if you go through, is it the EdTech portal? Santi,
EdTech portal. Continue that. And I was having trouble accessing
it. Sorry, hold on. Let me add the right one. I'm sorry about that. I'm grabbing a bunch of
But yes, as the data's finding that, the EdTech portal, that's a great way to find upcoming PDs. I'm going to put the link to the EdTech portal. And don't worry, folks, there's a lot of links everywhere. We're going to follow up with the link to the recording, the parking lot, all of the feedback form. We'll follow up with all the different resources, including the link to the EdTech portal, etc. But if you would like the link to the EdTech portal now, I'll put that here. And that's a good way to find upcoming PDs that are happening.
Thank you.
I have added the links, yeah.
And we've added everything in the parking lot as well. So if you scroll to the top of this chat, I don't know how it shows up for you all, but at the top of the chat, there should be some pinned resources there. And so if you click and select the parking lot, all of our resources are there for the moment. But again, as Santi mentioned, we will be sending a follow-up email that includes everything here. So rest assured, if you didn't grab everything or couldn't follow, we'll make sure that we get it out to you.
So thanks everybody for joining. I'll hang out for a little bit. If you have any questions, Janita, thank you so much for joining us also.
Yes, thank you.
Everyone, yeah, thanks everybody. Have a, yes, Wyman, do you have a question?
Hi, can send us very information. Thank you so much. I'm a special education teacher in B75. I would like to know more about how I can make use of the GEM. So do you think I can bring this up to the office hours to ask you more, or?
That's the purpose of the office hours. Yeah, feel free to ask any question about that. If you want, more support, feel free to email me. If you want to loop in like other folks from your school. Yeah, and I think there was a question here from. Okay, yeah, feel free to send me an email and feel free to bring it up in office hours. Yes.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And Glenn, was there a question?
Yes. If I'm using Notebook LM, like how can I make that play well with Gemini and vice versa? Like if I put up together a whole list of resources that I have in a notebook, is there a way that I can have Gemini look at all those resources specifically? What's my best way of doing that?
So say that one more time. You want Notebook LM to take into account specific resources?
Or if I've collected resources in Notebook LM, how can I use that as like a repository for Gemini? Let's say I wanted Gemini to do research on something using only the resources that I put in. Is there like something through a notebook or?
That's interesting. So I would use Notebook LM to synthesize, whatever information you're trying to gather. I would copy and paste that into a doc. Because that's interesting. It's usually the other way. It's usually from Gemini to Notebook LM. But if you're thinking about going the other way, I would I don't think there's a way to export a whole notebook into Gemini. So then I would instead, either copy and paste what insights you want to explore, or the same resources that you uploaded into Notebook LM, you could upload those into Gemini and then have it create things. So
as a teacher, we're all given like different PDs, given books to read, given, so on and so forth. So it's very easy to create a Notebook LM, repository on a single subject.
Let me ask you, why would you want to take it out of Notebook LM and put it into Gemini?
To use it maybe for some specific type of research, like give me all the best practices for a NEST student experiencing anxiety in a classroom, let's say,
so the thing
or something like that. I know Notebook LM could do that too, but sometimes Gemini is a little bit more robust in asking those questions.
Understood. So those are like kind of two separate use cases. Like I like the idea of the repository of resources, from your school on a specific subject. Like yes, that's ideal for Notebook LM. But then if you want to like create resources from that, it would be best to do that in Gemini. So then you would either like copy and paste the information you get from Notebook LM and then put it into Gemini in addition to uploading some resources. So if you want to create new things, that's Gemini. So you could do both. You could do both. You could take the same content, whether you upload it to Notebook LM or upload it to Gemini, and test it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess I just wanted to do a little bit more or maybe easier, but you know what? These things are changing by the second.
They change and just test it out. There's no expert in this right now. Like we're all trying to figure out the best ways to use this because the tools are moving so quickly. So for a repository, absolutely use Notebook LM. If you want to make new resources, see if you can copy and paste some things and put it into Gemini.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Wyman, did you have another question?
Yes. I thank you for bringing this up. I just want to make sure that I do not miss something, right? So let's say I have a lesson plan right now, so I can ask Gem to generate the Google slide for me. Is that right?
So if you want to make an auto-generated slide, I would test that out in Classroom. in Gemini Classroom. And so if you log into Classroom and you go to Gemini and you don't see this generated presentation, it's because you need to be part of a pilot program. However, we've taken all the people that registered for this session and we added you to the pilot, or we're going to do that right now.
Thank
So
you.
yes, no, absolutely. So if you want to make an AI generated presentation, your option right now is to do that in Classroom in Gemini. Now you could do something similar in regular Gemini, in the Gemini app, but it's not going to make the slides for you. Like you would, it would create the outline for you, which might be better. Maybe you have a template that you use anyway. So then you could ask Gemini to, generate a slide presentation outline on, whatever, life cycle of the butterfly for 4th grade. So you can ask Gemini to help you with the slides, but I think this is better for like this. It's going to give you what a slide 1 look like. It's not going to make the actual presentation. But what happens if you ask it? Can you?
So what happened is I already got the lessons from my district the whole year. So we as a teacher, we need to stay with that lessons plan. So my question is, because I'm working in the D75.
Yeah.
With the lesson plan, there's so many words. But what happened for my students, they are all visual. So I need to provide like a slides, like a videos that they are easy to understand. And on top of that, I need to do a lot of differentiation because we all come from different level, So that is the main questions that I'm asking if them can do that for me.
Charles, you're from D75, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So is it Wyman?
Yes.
Gomez? Hi, my name is Charles Gerber. I was actually just going to email you. I'm the District 75 technology coach. So I'd be glad to work with you on any of this stuff. And, Santi's great, but I obviously having more people on board to give you some assistance is awesome. I was just actually emailing you. And so let's touch base and we can talk more about this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Gerber.
you got it. Great. Looking forward to supporting.
Charles, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna try you out. I was like, wait a minute, he's from D75. Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for an opportunity to jump in there.
Thank you so much. Charles, did you have another question? Or are you good?
No, I just wanted to jump in to just offer my support.
Charles, thank you so much. So let me go through the Iwona. Did you have your hand up? Do you have a question?
You hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Santi, so a quick question. How can we use this Gemini with the videos, images, and the visual?
Did you want to make videos or what did you have in mind with videos and images?
Make videos, adjust, add images.
So if you wanted to make images, you could do that. So again, under tools, there's something that says images with Imagine. So if you wanted to say, make a snow-capped forest. Okay, so you can type something in and make sure that image is selected. And I think that's under 2.5 Flash. So it'll make an image. Now, if you wanted to make a video, I'm not sure if we have access to VO. Let me see. Google VO. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's built into Gemini. Let me see. Make this a video. Okay, yeah, we can't make videos yet. Like there is an option on like other versions of Gemini, but our specific DOE version you can't. But I do want to share something else that I didn't have a chance to get into. If you go to vids.google.com, okay, so that's vids.google.com. This is this is Google's like video editing program. So if you wanted to make videos on here, you would go to, again, vids.google.com, and then you have the option of making videos. And then these videos, there's like a library of different like stock image videos here, replace video with stock web. So with this tool, you have a bunch of different images that you can pull from. So you can make images in Gemini, or you can go to Google Vids, and you can like edit videos here.
You can also edit your own videos, right?
Yes, yeah. And so again,
Quick question, Santi. Do you know if students have access to it as well, or?
students have access to vids,
Okay.
but not Gemini and not Notebook LM, but they have access to vids. So students can make videos with this. Okay. So I hope that answers.
A quick question, one more question. This VO3, right? Is
Yeah.
that like an additional option to purchase? That's what it is?
So there is an option to purchase like another like Google license where you have more like AI options. I'm not sure if VO3 is part of that. I can check. That's a great question. I can check. But yeah, there is something called VO3 where you can make videos. So that's not part of the free version, but it might be part of the paid version. I need to double check with Danita.
All right, that would be awesome. Thank you.
So like I'm sharing something now. So schools could go into FAMIS or Shop DOE and then purchase an individual license. So let's say a school had, 2 or 3 teachers that really want to use AI a lot and take advantage of more features. It's a $131.98 for one license for the year, and then you get access to like more audio overviews in Notebook LM. I'm not sure if you have access to VO. I would need to double check, but you have access to other like AI tools. Like in what I showed you in Notebook LM, if you purchase that AI license, then you can do AI. I believe you can do some sort of AI generated videos in this. So consider, like, have your school consider buying maybe like 1 or 2 or more licenses for Gemini if you wanted more options.
Is there a specific link, or I just Google, Gemini and licenses?
In FAMIS, it's this. So you would need to search that item number. Well, I'll include this in my follow-up email.
All right, that would be awesome. Thank you.
You want to take a screenshot of this, but like that's the actual listing in FAMIS. Robert, you had a question? Okay. If anybody has a question. Oh, yes.
I do have a question, and it's actually just when you did the Notebook LM, you did the trip, that thing that you did with the trip. Can you just copy the instructions and paste it right here so I could do it myself and then tweak it instead of me doing it from scratch? Because I thought that was a genius idea.
Okay, so let me share. So that was a gem. That was a gem that I did.
Oh, that was a gem.
Yeah, it was gem. So
Okay.
I'll start from the beginning. So if you wanted to make a gem and you wanted to take advantage of Gemini, like updating your instructions, you go to Gemini, explore gems.
Okay.
Your screen's gonna look like this. You want to make a new gem.
Okay.
And then let's say,
Whatever the, yeah.
so
It was more because I'm lazy and I don't want to create the instructions myself. So I could tweak
that's-
yours.
That's why this option was
and
made.
go with it. Yeah.
Field Trip Planner 3. And so I'll say, I'm a middle school teacher that needs help with field trips, period. I want you to help me develop field trips ideas when I give you the grade and subject I'm interested in. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
You start with something that is the essence that you want. And then you click on use Gemini to rewrite. All right, so it's going to look at your prompt, and then it's going to give you more detailed instructions, which again, may or may not be what you want.
But I can tweak it and then use, gotcha.
Exactly. So here it is, purpose and goals, assist this, provide suggestions, behaviors, greet the user, what have you. And then you can test it out.
Yeah.
Save. So like you can test it out here. So let's see what it looks like. Start chat. So okay, let's test it out. Hello. All right. So hello. Sure. Grade level subject, budget location.
Gotcha. This is awesome.
Give me a
Okay.
grade.
I'm glad that you just did it. 6th grade.
Okay. 6th grade and subject.
Math.
Math.
New York.
New York. Low budget.
Thank you.
And then, so again, this is just real quickly. Here we go. Grocery. Oh, interesting. Grocery store math. Well, I like that actually. So in potential activities. Financial district scavenger hunt.
Okay.
See how
All
many.
right. So I see how you created the gem and then you just tweaked it to whatever you wanted. Perfect.
Exactly.
This is by far the best PD I've attended when it comes to. I honestly though would like, and maybe this is feedback, beginner level and then a little bit more advanced because there was more questions that I'm like, okay, this is repetitive.
Not you. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? I'm gonna stop the recording first.
Yes, Nancy, just a real quick question. The
Please.
gem is typically is on top of the Gemini, right? That I would
It's gonna
like.
be, yes. When you make a gem, it's gonna show up here. See, it says gems, new chat, gems, and then your recent chats are gonna show up on the side.
Okay, but the gem is.
Yeah, the gem is always gonna be in this area. So think about
But
gem, yeah,
it's my browsing history, right? My history. Yeah, my previous.
your chat history is going to be below that. So this is all chat history, and these are your gems. So this is the field trip planner that we made. This is the original one I made. So yeah, all the gems are there.
Thank you, Sandy. That is
yeah,
useful.
you're welcome. Is this similar to ChatGPT? Very similar. Fun fact: ChatGPT, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Transformer, not the robots. Transformer is a technology used to do this AI stuff. Google actually created that. So Google has had these tools long before OpenAI/ChatGPT. It's just ChatGPT decided to come to the market first. So this works very, very similarly to ChatGPT and other AI tools. But again, Gemini is safe to use with your DOE account. ChatGPT is not. So yeah, if you're using these tools, I highly suggest you use Gemini for this.
Thank you. I have another questions about, do you have like a prompt that us as a teacher, of course I'm a special education teacher as well. Do you have a like a demo prompts that we can use, or any formatting that you would like to recommend it to us? For example, we have to set it up like, I'm a special education teacher. What is my students? What's the range? We all teaching maybe student with disability or Down syndrome, or
So there's a lot of ways people are suggesting writing a prompt, right? But honestly, and I run these sessions all the time, and like there are acronyms to with these. The best thing, just like more context, the better. If you're a special ed teacher, include that. If you have students with disabilities, include that. Include what kind of disabilities they have, physical, learning, what have you. How many students do you have in your class? And the thing is, you might not send that all in the first prompt that you hit enter with, and that's fine. The thing is, this is a chatbot. You want to have a conversation with it. You want to go back and forth. So the rule of thumb that I suggest, the more context, the better, and just keep going back and forth. And so like I can give you examples of prompts, but again, like your students better than I do. And it's better for you just to have a conversation with it. And if you need some help, you can say this: I am a special education teacher in New York City public schools, and I want examples of prompts I can use with a generative AI tool such as Gemini. All right, so like I just added that in here, and then use AI to help you generate some prompts. Okay.
Nice.
Act as an experienced SPED teacher in New York City. Write a measurable SMART goal. You just ask it for helps with prompts. So again, think about this as your very smart assistant that's available 24/7.
Nice. So wherever I give it to provide the information to them, they will already automatically to like a machine learning, right? So
Yes.
they will have it in mind. So I do not need to repeat it again and again, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Last
question.
Yeah.
I just noticed that on my Gemini, I don't have all of those options. You said it was going to be added to us as well. I just have Gemini. If I want a Canvas, I have to type Canvas.
So it should be in there. So Canvas should be in there. Oops, let me refresh this page.
Let me see.
Yes, if you go to Gemini and make sure you're start out with 2.5 Flash, you'll
Yes,
see.
that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I see. Now I see Canvas. Oh, I see the Explore Gems. And
Yeah,
from there, I can try the
Gems
rest.
on the side. Yeah, Gems on the side here.
And then, but for the Notebook LM, I have to open a new one and type in.
Correct.
Notebook
You got to
LM.
go to a new tab and go to notebooklm.google.com.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Nelly, when should ChatGPT be used versus Gems? So those are two different things. Honestly, with your DOE work, I don't think you should use ChatGPT only because of the privacy stuff. Use the regular Gemini app, which is what we're looking at, and then Gems. Use Gems if you want to do something, a task that's repetitive, a task that you have to do over and over again, such as reviewing student work for feedback or something like that. And yes, we'll send out the recording maybe tomorrow. I just want to make sure it's all set. So that being said, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm gonna stop the recording. There's a lot of information here. I'm glad everyone was able to join us, and there will be more of these.